You heard us say a moment ago some breaking news as it relates to the Dolphins. They have been hit and punished with the loss of a first-round and third-round draft selection. They've also been hit with other fines.
Man.
What?
Schefter just had this, too. In January of 22, the Dolphins had impermissible communication with Don Yee, the agent for Saints head coach Sean Payton.
Yeah, so it's all here in the release.
Okay.
He's just taking it out of what the league put out, which is this. The investigation found that the Dolphins had impermissible communications with quarterback Tom Brady in 2019 and 2020 while he was under contract to the New England Patriots. Those communications began as early as August of 2019.
When he knew he was out.
I'm going to remind everyone that Tom Brady asked for and received his voidable get-out-of-jail contract from the Patriots on August 4th of 2019. So Brady was talking to the Dolphins, went to the Patriots, and said, I'm out of here.
I want to play you twice.
Those communications began in August of 19 and continued throughout the entire 2019 season and postseason. These numerous and detailed discussions were conducted by Mr. Beal. That would be limited partner of the Miami Dolphins. He is also in line to take over the franchise. He is also, as we know, a friend of Tom Brady.
Tight with Brady.
Who in turn kept Mr. Ross and other Dolphins executives informed of his discussions with Mr. Brady.
Good grief.
This is where all the sightings were taking place, too, at that Seminole Golf Club. Second the season was over. So he was found in Miami.
So Tom Brady spent his entire final year in New England scheming with the Dolphins.
Yes. And it wasn't just Stephen Ross after the fact telling Brian Flores, why don't you hang around the dock here for a few minutes because I hear Tom's coming out on the boat. It wasn't
that thing.
It wasn't that thing. It was actual conversations taking place while he was still in New England. They didn't even wait for him to get to Tampa.
That's Bruce Beal, right? Bruce Beal, who is friendly with Brady and was having detailed conversations starting in August of 19, according to the NFL. And when you get that in the investigation, August of 19, come on, when do they really begin? You know, that's always tip of the iceberg, what they tell you, what they're willing to tell you.
What did he tell Howard Stern?
How much worse would it look if he said, yeah, they called him in January of 19?
Okay, but we just assume that improper conversations and communications happen all the time.
Sure. I agree with that.
Is it because it was so consistent and so early and apparently so blatant with the Dolphins that the investigation got started? Did it take Brian Flores raising his hand and saying, you really need to go back and look at this?
Yes. That's what started all this.
It's Flores, and it sounds like maybe the consistency and the degree to which they carried out all this stuff that made the league come down and say, you guys can't do this.
But as we know, they weren't done. According to the NFL, the Dolphins again had impermissible communications with both Mr. Brady and his agent during and after the 2021 season.
Right.
While he was under contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That one we kind of figured out.
Those discussions began no later than early December of 2021.
Season's still going.
And focused on Brady becoming a limited partner in the Dolphins and possibly serving as a football executive.
Oh, God.
Although at times, they also included the possibility of him playing for the Dolphins.
Oh, God.
And all three of their executives, Messrs. Ross and Beal, were all active participants in the discussions. They all were talking to Brady throughout the season last year.
This guy's just shameless. This is so dumb.
And
we're all talking to him. We're just talking to him all the time about doing everything here.
Here's the next part. In January of 22,
kick Marino out.
The Dolphins had impermissible communications with Don Yee, the agent for Saints head coach Sean Payton, about having Mr. Payton serve as Miami's head coach.
Oh, this thing was real, huh?
Miami did not seek consent from the Saints to have these discussions, which occurred before Coach Payton announced his decision to retire. Following that announcement, Miami then requested permission to speak to Payton for the first time, which New Orleans declined to grant.
The Dolphins hosted numerous mixers between Yee, Brady, and the Tridelts to see if they all wanted maybe to get together and have a party down in Miami.
So it's crazy to hear about this, but this does make you think, how often does this happen with teams and other players?
To this
Probably more than you
extent,
think.
though,
But
with like multiple,
it does seem extensive.
multiple executives
Multiple
having
runs at 'em.
multiple
Multiple runs
conversations,
at 'em.
multiple runs over multiple years, and we're going to get a new coach in here. You're going to be an owner. You can
probably for the
play.
league
You can
crew.
do whatever you want.
It's probably for the elite guys. It's probably for like Brady, for Rodgers. You tell me Rodgers wasn't in talks with people.
And Goodell does
Russ
say,
Wilson.
Yeah.
The Goodell
Wilson.
says the investigators found tampering violations of unprecedented scope and severity. He says, I know of no prior instance of a team violating the prohibition on tampering with both a head coach and a star player to the potential detriment of multiple other clubs over a period of several years.
Yeah.
Similarly, I know of no prior instance in which ownership was so directly involved in the violations.
Oh, man.
Holy smokes. What a mess.
Well, Bill was also fined $500,000.
Beal was.
Yes.
Yeah, so the discipline is that Bruce Beal may not attend any league meetings for the remainder of 2022 for the season. He's been fined $500,000. Mr. Ross has been suspended through October 17th. He may not be present at the Dolphins facility. He may not attend any league meetings prior to the league annual meeting in 2023.
Well, that's not going to affect those guys. They host their own meetings away from the league.
Yeah, they do
meetings.
their own tampering.
Yeah,
and he's removed from all league committees indefinitely. So he gets the boot from any league committees. He's been docked $1.5 million. They have forfeited a first-round pick in 2023, and they've given up a third-round pick in 24.
Wow.
That all came down today.
I don't think it's all that bad. I don't think it's anything that doesn't happen to a lesser degree around the league. But it is comical that these guys who are in charge of a huge entity like an NFL football team can be so irresponsible in the way they go about it.
It's about time this league went after another team.
Well, seriously, aren't you? Don't you have
Thank
to?
God.
These guys aren't idiots. Don't you have to agree that they're, these are pretty sharp guys?
Oh, yeah.
Right? They've attained a level of success in life. How when you're
Because that's exactly
clown
why.
show,
They just think that they're immune to it.
It no longer applies.
That the rules don't apply to them.
A lot of that going around.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's not.
Plus, you're dealing with Brady, who's one of the most recognizable guys. You court him around in Florida. People are going to take notice to it. I mean,
right.
Jesus.
Well, Brian Flores has started to get his revenge on the Dolphins. That's for sure.
Yep.
He's probably thrilled
him.
with this today.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think that they're letting the Dolphins off the hook on the tanking thing.
I mean,
read that when they say, well, he didn't instruct them to lose games,
He only got slapped
but
for a
repeatedly held meetings saying we should really prioritize our draft position.
He's only
Well, that's the
suspended-
equivalent
he's
of saying,
only suspended till mid-October.
Don't be so upset if we lose games.
But in order to really hammer them on that, they'd have to put the hammer down on Flores for being a part of that scheme to go out there and intentionally lose games.
No, I mean, instructing to lose the games is the violation. They say,
I'm saying
no one tried to lose games, including Brian Flores.
So you think they should have been hammered harder just for
bringing it up,
inference.
just for telling a team that we should. In the NFL, yeah, if that's like all of a sudden that's your you're bringing in a coach and you're talking about tanking, or you're talking about prioritizing draft stock over winning.
Right.
In that league, in this league,
there's not enough games to have any really be treated as throwaways.